Good morning, Vietnam. I'm back again. The topic today will be exercise. Me being a prolific runner my whole life and not worrying about upper body at all until very recently. With elderly people, sarcopenia is a really, really big problem, and I found that out the hard way myself. But the two things that you have control of in your life for quality of life as you get older and longevity is diet and exercise. Diets have some problems, and I'm going to do one or two videos on diets, my diet, and discuss the blue zone diets at length. I'm putting together a table that compares the blue zone diets to my diet, and also what I recall of my diet in the village where I was born in northern Greece. Now I bring that up because we were subsistent farmers. More so, we were goat herders. Actually, my father never went to school at all, and his father dragged him up the mountain at 5 years old and told him to look after the goats while he went back to the village. So I'm going to compare all those, as I've been a vegetarian 90-95% of every year for the last 50 years. So I have been exercising my whole life, but basically running. And in the early 90s, I hurt my wrists and elbow from working with my co-workers. I was a builder, a general contractor in Los Angeles for 25 years. And after I hurt them, I was playing squash and threw out my tendons in my wrists, right wrist and right elbow. And I really didn't do almost anything to heal them until about 3-4 years ago, when I thought it was time to heal them and get some muscle mass back to my upper body. During the last 30 years, I have been running quite a bit, especially in my mid-40s. I ran very short distances, 400 meters, 800, mile, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, marathon, and also 3 ultra marathons. But then by the time I got close to 50, I stopped doing it and then just did a recreational running. And now in the last 3 years, as I've gone to the gym here in my building and done weights, I've also tried to do a lot of running. And it hasn't worked out. I can run. I mean, I am an excellent runner over almost any distance. And I played Australian football from 17-year-old to 22. Played squash, and in my early 40s, I did some squash in Los Angeles. And then mid to late 40s, I did all this running, short distance and long distance running. But because previous to 3 years ago, almost 10 years, I did no running, or very little. And I've tried to run now. I've been on the treadmill a lot, but it's not the same thing as running outside. And when I run outside, I cannot get my leg speed back, nor my endurance. Excuse me. This is what happens with sarcopenia. And old age, of course. Once you let it go, it's really, really hard to get it back. So I started working out in the gym. I mean, I've always had very low body fat anyway, and my muscle body definition improved a hell of a lot. I finally got some muscle in my upper body, and I was fairly happy with it. But I wanted to learn boxing. So there's some boxing gyms in my area in a district of Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, where I've been living now for 10 years. And I've been doing it now for close to 6 months, and also switched from doing weights to calisthenics. And that's the only two things I do now. Sorry, I also do some running in between the two classes I do at the boxing gym, and the one time I go to the gym to practice by myself. In between, I try to do at least once a week, do some running, jogging, I would call it really, and also do sprints. It seems to be a lot easier for me than a long distance run now. So I'm trying to pause it. I lost my train of thoughts, but here we go again. As I said, my muscles increased, but they significantly increased when I switched to boxing and calisthenics. I gained about 1.5 kilograms in muscle, about 3 pounds, and my body fat went even lower. I think I'm running at about well under 5% body fat. And my diet in that time basically went from 1,300 calories up to right now around 1,600 calories per day. Now, I think if you're going to work out this hard, you should definitely increase your calorie intake. But mind you, when I was younger, I didn't have to increase my calorie intake, really, just maybe 5 to 10% maximum when I was running ultramarathons even. So as you get older, your whole body changes in so many ways. Again, I'm not a medical expert. I can only tell you what happened to me and my body. My stomach basically got flatter. It's close to the flattest it's ever been, but it's not a flat stomach, even though I have what I call a 4-pack. The lower part of my stomach is like Dwayne Johnson's, The Rock. He has the same type of stomach where he can't get a 6-pack, especially in the lower part of his stomach. I think that's just simply genetics. Anyway, you can look up many, many bloggers, podcasts, influencers on YouTube, and you can learn how to do many, many different types of calisthenics exercises. I'm going to list 3 of these bloggers in my description below this video, which are, I think, really helpful for people around over 60, 70 years old and older, because they give beginner exercises. And then you can watch more podcasts and see which exercises you would like to do as you get better and better and stronger. Now, calisthenics has really, and boxing, and I can't separate the two, because during the boxing classes, it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes of boxing exercises, and the rest of the time is doing calisthenics exercises. Just like Mike Tyson. That's what he did when he was a full-time boxer. No weights. And I find that my body feels stronger, it's more flexible, my posture has increased enormously for the better, and also I find that things that were bothering my body, lower back pain and my elbow and right wrist injuries, are actually almost healed. I really don't get back pain unless I do something really silly. The muscles on your body should be indicative of what you need them for. Unless you're a bodybuilder, you absolutely don't need large muscles. And in fact, when you get older, remember, the muscles are going to go to fat unless you keep it up. And that means keeping up a very heavy gym regimen, but also heavy weights. Now, there are some vloggers out there around 70 years old that look really buffed up, if that's what you want. But remember, do you want to be doing that when you're 80? I don't know. So you should work out and get the muscles you want to make you feel good. When you look in the mirror, you can say, this is all I need. I look great. I'm very happy with it. I bumped into a guy the other day, and he hadn't seen me since 4 years before COVID. And he said, wow, you look really strong with my t-shirt on. But my girlfriend thinks I look skinny. And it just goes to show you how women and men view, especially men's bodies, differently. So, my next points. I've made the point about how much you need to get much more protein and work out with heavy weights if you want to get big, but I don't see the point in it. My diet is basically, as I said, 95% vegetarian for 50 years. I do 0 refined sugar. I do 0 processed food. I don't do any trans fats. And the only oils I use, actually the only oil I use is olive oil. That is literally my only fat that I consume outside of canned sardines. And the fish I eat once to twice a month. So I do get some fat outside of olive oil. So exercise has been found to be a critical factor in people who want to not so much lose weight, because I think to lose weight, it's 95% of your diet. But I'll give you 2 examples. One is a reality show where they had very obese people, and they were something like, who can lose the most weight? It's called something silly. But they lose all this weight in the show, and then a few months later, 6 months later, all the weight is back on. In this particular show, the episodes of this particular show, the only person that did not regain the weight was a person who maintained his exercise regimen. They also did a similar study or exercise in, I think it was Chicago, with policemen. And they had exactly the same result. All these guys went on a diet. They all lost weight, with including exercise. And then the one policeman who did not regain his weight was the one who kept exercising after. It has been found in another study I watched on YouTube, I can't remember who discussed it, that if you exercise regularly, there's two types. There's weights, and then there's aerobic exercises. The biggest factor to increase longevity was actually weights, which I was surprised. I can't remember the percentage, but it was significant. And to a lesser degree, if you did aerobic exercise. But if you did both, then it increased it significantly more than just doing weights alone. So that's another huge factor, as you get older, to keep exercising, or start exercising at any weight, any age, You need to start, that's the bottom line, at any age. And I would like to mention also that I think that there's been a lot of talk and blogs about walking. They've become quite prolific on YouTube. I totally agree. Any exercise is better than none. If you can do 10,000 steps a day, it's great. I'm just not much of a walker. I'm much more of a runner, or at least a jogger these days. So any exercise is going to benefit you in the long run. The other thing I have found is that when I exercise strenuously, the few times in my life, 3, 4, 5 times I've really worked out or exercised a lot, is I never get sick. And of course, I don't take any supplements. I don't take any drugs unless, because I have a skin problem, occasionally flares up. Other than that, when I'm exercising, again heavily, I don't get sick. The most I get sick anyway is a heavy cold, which naturally takes me about 3 weeks to recover. Your immunity system is critical not to destroy it in any way by taking drugs. That being said, that's enough on exercise. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. And either it's going to be on diet or it's going to be on the media, and words matter. Thank you. My apologies. I do want to add that I'm going to do at least 2 videos on my exercise regimen. Definitely 1 or 2 in the boxing gym, and probably only 1 in my apartment, showing how I work out at home, and also maybe 1 in the gym, because we had 12 days off during the Tet holidays, which just finished, and the gym was closed, so I went back to the local gym in my building and did some workouts. And there's actually a lot of exercise equipment that outside of the gym I think is really, really great and helps with your flexibility, not muscles. So until then, thanks again. See you. God, this cursor. Bye.